The Kevin Durant trade saga nears a conclusion as multiple teams are one or two moves away from potentially landing the Suns superstar. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. Busy off season around the NBA, so hit that subscribe button and stay in the know. So Kevin Durant, we all know about the trade saga at this point. He's going to be moved by the Phoenix Suns. They want to get it done before the draft, which is very quickly approaching. There are a number of teams that are still in the mix. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the Miami Heat, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, a little bit quiet, but you never know with them. The Toronto Raptors would like to get into the mix, but there are a few teams that have positioned themselves very clearly in a spot to land KD. Now, we're going to jump into Brian Windhorst here, talking a little bit about the Houston Rockets before we get into everyone else, because I do think they're a really intriguing landing spot with some very key things that are holding it up right now. So take a look. Here's Brian Windhorst on the situation with the Rockets.
Houston is the team that can make the best trade and also is the best spot for Durant. And there's a connection there with Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka was an assistant coach for Brooklyn when KD was there. If Durant ends up in Houston, I think you've got a serious contender in the Western Conference there. However, Houston is really not motivated to dip into the stash of picks that they have. Specifically, guys, they have 2 future Phoenix Suns draft picks. That's what the Suns want back. They literally want some of the stuff back that they traded for Durant. The Rockets went out and acquired that stuff from Brooklyn with the possibility of making a Durant trade, but they don't want to pay that price right now. And they're basically wagering that the Suns' price will come down and they will make the deal. Houston.
All right, so that's where a lot of these teams are right now, whether it's Miami, whether it's Houston, anybody else. It's a staring contest. They're waiting to see if the Suns are going to drop the price with the somewhat deadline of the draft quickly approaching. Meanwhile, the Suns are saying, no, you need to increase your price. You need to give us what we want. And as Windhorst noted there, from the Houston Rockets, specifically, the Suns are after future draft capital. The Rockets have multiple picks. In fact, they've got Phoenix's pick this year, the 10th overall pick, plus their 2027 pick, plus their 2029 pick that they could go target on the trade market. Meanwhile, Houston saying, well, no, these things are too valuable to give up for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. So instead, we're going to hold off. But it's not just that. That's not the only problem between the Houston Rockets and the Phoenix Suns, because I do think that Houston makes maybe the most sense out of any team to land Kevin Durant, because they were absolutely screaming for a Kevin Durant style player in the playoffs last year, somebody who can create their own shot in the half court. The Rockets, in a very close playoff series with the Golden State Warriors, simply couldn't score enough points. They couldn't execute well enough in the half court. Kevin Durant immediately solves that problem. Admittedly, his age is a concern. Injury history is a concern, but skill set wise, he's a perfect fit for what the Houston Rockets need. But it's not just that the Rockets don't want to give up draft capital. It's also a problem with the players that the Rockets are willing to give up. They're willing to part with Jalen Green, the 10th pick in this year's draft. They'll part with those things. The Suns, they want the 2027 pick. They want the 2029 pick to be added into the deal. They also want Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, or Reed Shepherd. They want some of these young players, and the Rockets are not willing to put any of them into the deal right now. So the deal will be built then around Jalen Green, and the Suns don't really want Jalen Green. This is from Brett Siegel of Clutch Point, said the Suns don't view Jalen Green as a positive asset. And I think part of the problem is Jalen Green himself, who had a very hot look. He's a very streaky player, there's no question, but also a very young and talented player. But he is on a long-term deal, has 3 years left on a contract, $33.3 million this coming season, then $36 million, and then that player option again. And he is such a streaky player. There's concerns. How does he really fit with Devin Booker? Right or wrong? Personally, I think wrong. The Suns want to build their future around Devin Booker, and Jalen Green and Devin Booker are just simply not a great pairing. So that means an added complication. Not only are the Rockets not putting in the draft capital that Phoenix wants, not only are the Rockets not putting in the young players that Phoenix wants, but the young player they are putting in isn't a player that Phoenix actually wants, which means they would have to incorporate a third team, maybe a fourth team. Somebody's going to have to take Jalen Green and then send stuff to the Phoenix Suns. Again, when I look at the roster, I think Kevin Durant makes a ton of sense in Houston. I understand why Houston doesn't want to give up some of the stuff that they're being asked to give up. And I understand why they are believing that the Suns will ultimately blink and will take less. But right now, I also get why if you're Phoenix and you're looking at what's on the table from the Houston Rockets, you say, well, we can probably get a better deal somewhere else if all we're really getting is Jalen Green and the 10th pick, and we're not getting Jabari Smith. We're not getting Reed Shepard. We're not getting Tari Eason. We're not getting any of these young talents that we covet. Obviously, Ahmed Thompson is going to be off the table, but still, we can't even get a Jabari Smith Jr. We can't get any of these other players. We can't get Tari Eason. We're going to go try to find a deal elsewhere. So I think the Rockets make a lot of sense as the landing spot. I think if they put in one of those young players and one of those picks, they probably get Kevin Durant and off they go, and maybe they become one of, if not the favorite, to win the Western Conference this year. But that's not where they're at right now. Now, the other team that I think has a lot of interest in KD, that KD actually has interest in, and that's a key because right now, Minnesota's rumored trade package, pretty damn good. When we talk about Rudy Gobert, we talk about Rob Dillingham, you've got other pieces that are going to add it in. Dante DiVincenzo, you've got guys that not only fit playing with Devin Booker and can help them win right now, but potentially future assets as well, draft capital going in. It's a pretty strong offer, I think, from the Minnesota Timberwolves. But Kevin Durant is doing everything he can to stop that from happening. He does not want to go to the Wolves, and so he's telling the Wolves, I will leave next summer in free agency, and that's so far doing enough to scare away Minnesota. Meanwhile, the Toronto offer, I think, is pretty strong as well. The rumored offer being Jakob Poeltl, Emmanuel Quickley, or RJ Barrett, one of those two, plus the 9th pick in this year's draft. I like Jakob Poeltl a lot. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, both have their merit, and then draft capital. I think the Raptors can put together a pretty convincing offer as well. But once again, does Kevin Durant actually want to go there? But the team he does want to go to, in addition to Houston, in addition to San Antonio, it's Miami. And Miami is, again, according to Brett Siegel, the team that could get the deal done right now. That is the closest to the finish line to get this thing done. It's the Miami Heat. Why? All they have to do is say Kel-El Ware. Say Kel-El Ware, and you get Kevin Durant. That's it. That's what the Miami Heat need to put into the deal. Now, obviously, there will be other pieces in a deal for the Miami Heat. Andrew Wiggins will be somebody that could be involved. Duncan Robinson, something like that. But the main pieces, Andrew Wiggins and Kel-El Ware, would be the main pieces. So this is, again, a staring contest. Will the Miami Heat ultimately blink? Will they give up Kel-El Ware? Maybe they could take something else back out of the deal. Perhaps their first-round pick this year, something like that, could be pulled out of the deal. Can they balance it out a little? Because clearly the Phoenix Suns are prioritizing getting a center. That's why you hear Rudy Gobert. That's why you hear Jakob Poeltl in any of these deals. What can the Suns do to land Kel-El Ware? I like Kel-El Ware a lot. He's a very, very good player. He's very intriguing talent for the long term, but Miami does not want to give him up. So once again, similar to the situation with the Rockets, it is a bit of a staring contest. The Heat waiting for the Suns to lower their price, the Suns waiting for the Rockets to increase their offer. And I do think when you look at Houston, while he makes the most sense, in my opinion, in Houston with the Rockets, Houston's got some hurdles to clear to get there. They would have to they have to bend on Tari Eason, let's say. They have to bend on future draft capital, things of that nature. They have to find another team to take Jalen Green and the team, right? There's more complications. For Miami, pretty clear cut what needs to happen. If they put Kel-El Ware into the deal, they will get Kevin Durant. And so it's going to be fascinating over the next few days to see who ultimately gives. And I do think in these situations, typically both sides give a little bit, and then we wind up at a deal. Right now, it appears the Miami Heat are the favorites to get him, that they'll find some way to make it happen. And Kevin Durant has made it clear he would like to go play for the Miami Heat. So if we were to rank it, I would have the Miami Heat in the lead. After that, though, it's anybody's guess. Minnesota badly wants KD, but if other options get shut down, would he maybe relent and say, okay, I'll go to Minnesota? We saw it happen with Jimmy Butler and the Golden State Warriors. You never know in these situations. The Toronto Raptors, very motivated as well. To me, it feels like the Raptors and the Wolves, despite not being preferred teams for Kevin Durant, are more motivated to get him than the teams that are on his list, in certainly the San Antonio Spurs, but maybe even the Houston Rockets as well. So where will all this land? Again, right now, my best guess would be he goes to the Miami Heat, But everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Where do you think KD will ultimately land? Will Miami budge and give up Kel'el Ware? Will the Rockets give up some of their young talent, plus maybe some draft capital? What about the Spurs? Are they being a little too quiet? Are they suddenly going to emerge as the winner of the Kevin Durant sweepstakes? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Again, don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.